on, everyone? This is the Popcorn Hero Show review of episodes 1 through 4 of Westworld.
The first half of Westworld Season 3.
Season 3, episodes 1 through 4. I know we're a bit late, but, you know, there's a quarantine and
there's kind of a pandemic going on.
So that's why we're late on this. But we'll try to be weekly going forward now. Anyways, we're reviewing episodes 1 through 4 of Westworld Season 3, and we are going to go straight into it. There's not going to be a how can I say this, spoiler-free review. It'll just be straight spoilers.
Straight spoilers
of what
recaps,
just happened.
Really.
Yeah, of what just happened. We're just going to talk about, you know, what we thought about the recent episodes, and that's it. You know, not spoiler free, just straight up spoilers. So hopefully if you're watching the show, you could follow along. If not, watch the show, come back and give us a listen, let us know your thoughts, and so on and so forth. But let's get into it, Pedro. Let's start with episode 1. How did you feel with the comeback of Westworld after a year hiatus?
I loved it, and what made it so cool is that it didn't jump right in where we left off. It was almost like a time jump and a totally different place. So we feel lost in this world, especially after a year, but it makes sense. That's what they're going for. They're going for, oh, this is totally different. Now they're out in the open. It's the real world now. So I'm loving it. I've always wanted to see how futuristic the world was in the previous ones. So it's kind of nice to really see it. Yeah,
because if you have actual robots that could speak and talk and have some sense of reasoning, how would their actual world be, you know? Which is, and you get to kind of see that now. Yeah,
and I like how they introduce a new regular. They have Aaron Paul as Caleb, this human character who's like an ex-soldier, you know, just trying to get a job, like his odd jobs, just trying to make a living around here. And he's just the everyman.
Yeah,
so
essentially,
it's always a nice character to start with.
Yeah, and it kind of allows you to be involved into it. Also, like it makes you feel like you could be there with him, and like they say, he's an easy character to relate to.
Yeah, I like that. They slowly start bringing you back to the characters, like how everything's going. Like we go back to Tessa Thompson's character.
Yeah, like a catch up essentially.
Yeah, so it's kind of like reminding you, oh, that's right. She's not really her. She's she's one of the hosts.
Yeah.
Right. She's been replaced by one of the hosts, and then so right now, you know, it's just her and Dolores, pretty much just making moves. You don't know exactly what's going on. You just know they're making moves out there. So it's mysterious in that way. If you're trying to figure out, okay, what's their end game? Because you know they wanted to get out and be free, but now what? So
that's true. And
that's one of the exciting things about it.
And you get introduced to a huge computer system called Rehoboam, or whatever it's called. Yeah. And essentially predicts people's lives.
Right. Yeah. It pretty much charts a course for them.
Yeah.
Based on just everything.
Everything you've ever done.
Go, oh yeah, you're a fuck up, so you're pretty much just gonna be a, I don't know,
always a fuck
garbage
up.
Man, construction worker, like pretty much giving them like a type of job where it's like you're not gonna go anywhere. Yeah. Which is funny because that's something that it dives into a little more, but it's like, you know, if you want a utopia, world peace, giving everyone a purpose is part of it. So it's just like an interesting like idea that they're twisting. So it's an interesting moral question. Yeah. Right.
And then you have Bernard, who's on the run, who they're blaming essentially everything that happened in Westworld on. He was the reason why. Which is insane. Which is pretty cool. Which is
interesting. They haven't really explained it too much now, but I'm very curious as to. It looks like there's 2 Bernards in his head.
I think essentially.
Well,
this is a theory already, or is it? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Well, yeah, that is kind of getting into theories.
All right. I mean, do you want to mention it or?
No. We'll just say that there's, as far as we know, Bernard has like two personalities almost. Yeah. And that part really reminded me of Hulk. Because, you know, he's trying to, like, stay calm. The guys are fighting him, and he's like, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. And, you know, and he kind of hulks out and fucks him up. I'm like, yo, I'm getting huge Edward Norton, like, Hulk vibes from this part.
And he's essentially always checking himself to make sure that he's not, like, there's not a sleeper system inside of him.
Right. He's hacking his own head, like, hey, would you ever lie to me? You know?
It's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so Dolores' character, so Dolores pretty much is pretending to be like the girlfriend of one of the higher ups of the company.
Yeah, the people who create Rehoboam.
I think the Serac is the company, or
no, it's now Serac. You find out the next episode.
Oh, okay.
Or
they're pretty much the company that has Rehoboam.
He created, along with his father, Serac and his father created Rehoboam. And that company essentially of Rehoboam. But I don't remember the name of the company.
Insight.
There you go.
That's it. So she pretty much created like this false identity to get close to the son of one of the co-founders of Insight.
Yeah.
And she pretty much gets caught.
Yep. Yeah.
By the what's his name?
His security guard.
Yeah, but he's from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
With the scars on his face.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and one of the very cool things that got introduced in this episode was how crime works in the future. It's kind of like an Uber app.
Yeah.
So you see Caleb, he's a construction worker by day, and by night he does like little odd jobs. The app is called Rico. Which I thought was pretty funny too. So, yeah, that was one of the interesting things. So he pretty much has this rule where he doesn't do personals, which pretty much means he doesn't do with anything dealing with a person, whether it's killing or kidnapping or directly robbing an actual person. Like, he stays away from shit like that. He wants all indirect stuff. So, but of course he gets a job, and then that has to do with dealing with Dolores
after she got caught, essentially.
After she got caught, right. So it's kind of like, it was almost like a dispose of the body type thing. No, he had to
he had the injection.
Something.
He had the injections.
That's what it is.
That were going to be used to kill her.
Right. But of course you see her go full-blown RoboCop mode, and she just fucks everyone up, which I thought was pretty cool. But that episode essentially ends with her. She's fucked up. She's passing out under the bridge, and that's when Caleb, Aaron Paul, he gets kind of the change of heart, like, fuck, I gotta go back and like see what's up, and then that's when he finds her.
He runs into her.
Yeah. And what's interesting that this episode also had an after credits where Maeve wakes up in like a World War II type world.
Yep.
Where you see like the Nazis and shit, and then bam, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, which was a pretty cool tease to end it on, because you always wonder what happened to her after, you know, the chaos that happened.
Exactly, and you always wonder what are the other worlds, because they've mentioned there were multiple worlds, and you kind of get to see
some of them,
one of the other ones, which was kind of nice.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a great first episode. It was still a slow burn, but it introduced you to a bigger world, which I liked.
Yeah. And then the next episode is essentially another way of catching up with the characters too. I feel like these two episodes were like, hey, let's catch up with what you guys doing. And you know, I think this one opens up with it's
with Maeve.
With Maeve waking up in Warworld, and how she ends up finding out that it's a simulation, and she, you know, kind of essentially destroys it.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, because there were a lot of things going on where they were doing cameos of characters, and you're like, everything feels off and fuzzy. Like, it just felt fake. You know, like the dialogue was extra cheesy. And I'm like, and I thought to myself, ooh, the writing on this show got bad.
No, it was meant to be.
Right, exactly. But in the beginning, I'm like, oof. But then it does this the loop. And then it gets cheesy again, and I'm like, oh, I kind of see where this is going. Especially when she meets up with the two doctors. I say doctors, but you know, the two workers that
the
helped
employees.
her break out.
Yeah.
Right. when she meets them again, and then she starts noticing they're acting different, that's when it starts clicking in, and you're like, oh, Lee, which is the douche guy, the douchey British guy. You're like, oh, okay, I see where it is. They're just essentially an AI to make her feel comfortable to give out information that she doesn't know, which they're looking for all the
satellite.
Data. Yeah.
The satellite that where they uploaded everybody to.
I thought it was really cool because you got Hector back. You know, you got his... you
essentially got her squad back.
That's true.
For that
got
brief
the whole
moment.
squad back, right?
Yeah.
All of her characters, yeah. And then it's like, oh, wait, just kidding. This is pretty much just going to be her.
Yeah. So and it's funny because I didn't notice it when I was first watching it, but the aspect ratio of the episode changes. And it has the black bars. Once she realizes that it's a simulation, black bars appear on the screen to let you know that this is a difference of the world. And I noticed that earlier, on episode 4, because now I'm looking for it, because that's the episode where I like after I saw it. I like listening to people break down some episodes, and they mentioned the bars, and I didn't notice it. I rewatched it. I'm like, oh shit, the bars were there. And then I noticed it on episode 4 when Bernard was tripping his shit. The aspect ratio changed again. You have black bars when Bernard was in his mind. Like, and I'm like, the show gives you these little things where if you dig deep enough, it shows you how.
Right, that part of their journey is an illusion.
Yeah, and how far the creators think about that shit. That you don't notice it first time, but the second time you do.
That's funny you mentioned the black bars, because I didn't notice it in the beginning either, but when I started noticing it was when they kept flipping between Warworld and the server room back and forth. And then I was like, wait, there's something off about this. And I'm like, oh, the black bars. And I'm like, that explains that she's in an illusion. That's cool. But you know what? Now that you mentioned they did it in episode 4, I didn't notice it in episode 4. Yeah. So
on the Bernard episode. When Bernard
I see it.
When he was talking to Dolores in his house, there were bars, right. And he was sitting down, and I think there was bars or whatever. Yeah. So if we rewatch it, you'll see it.
The other characters that were I wouldn't even say introduced, but the other characters that had a storyline in this second episode was Ashley, which is pretty much the Hemsworth brother, and Bernard. Yep. Well, Bernard essentially goes back into Westworld, sneaks into it, right? Because he's looking for Maeve. Yeah, but then it also does the reveal, not even a reveal, but like the 100% confirmation that Ashley is a robot, a host.
Yeah, because
which is something that was hinted at. It was hinted at in the last season, because he says something like, I guess you could say, forward program me to blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, was that a figure of speech or were you being literal? Well, now we know he was being literal.
He was being literal.
That part, the way they revealed it, was a little off for me. I'm like, oh, so he's just there, just try to kill himself. Whatever, fuck it.
So essentially what happened is that, his mission was over. His mission was, that Ford gave him, was to help Bernard escape, help everybody escape. Right. So once they left, his mission was over. So he was like, oh, I have nothing else to live for. So he decided to kill himself by destroying his pearl, whatever it is. I think they call it. Right. But destroying something that destroys it all for him. But he fucked up. He missed. So he spent his whole time there on like in a standby mode until someone else could come and help him.
Now, something else about this episode, I know I mentioned to you already that there is a Easter egg in this episode that really took me out of it, man. Yeah. The Game of Thrones stuff. It was a little too on the nose.
It was one of those things where seeing them again gave me so much anger, and I was just like, you fucking assholes, man.
And I think that's what added to it. They just look so douchey just there. You're like,
so douchey, dude. And they were acting douchey also. So it's kind of like, because they're essentially, let's. So one of the writers essentially was just like, hey, let's destroy Drogon for parts, because so some place in Costa Rica they're selling it for high. So that's essentially what they were doing. They were cutting down Drogon to sell him off. And it's just like essentially what you did to your show, dude. You chopped it up into pieces, and you sold it for parts, because you guys are fucking assholes and piece of shit who destroyed it.
Yeah. Then they had someone, I guess, playing the lute in the background. It's like dun 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 dun. Dun. I'm like, oh god.
And essentially, it's kind of confirming that there's a medieval world.
Right. There is a medieval world. Yeah.
But it was
a
just
medieval
kind of
fantasy world.
Yeah. It was like I think I mentioned it to you that I'm pretty sure that they thought it was gonna be a great idea having them cameo, and I'm pretty sure it was filmed before the whole Game of Thrones fiasco happened, you know?
Yeah,
because
the fallout.
This was probably filmed last year. I'm pretty sure it was either filmed last year or finished filming last year, and they spent this whole time doing the post production on it. So
which the post production looks like they did an amazing job.
Yeah, dude, it blends in so well, man. It's insane. So this was filmed or at least finished filming last year, and so the whole Game of Thrones shit never happened. And then now you have it here, and it's just like, damn, it's pure crap seeing them on screen after everything they did to the fucking one of the greatest shows that could have ended epic and amazing, and they didn't. They butchered their own material. Yeah, and that's what they were doing their job on.
Yeah, I agree. It took me out of it, but it's fine because I think Maeve is a cool character, and thankfully we followed her for most of
she's so cool, man.
The episode. So it pretty much ends with her finally like fully escaping, and then in the mind of a robot, I guess, and then she just gets shot to shit. But
no, essentially,
Serac ends up.
She hacks the robot to get her mind off the server, and the robot was trying to escape, but then it just got gunned down. It looked like it was in some sort of complex or something like that.
Right. And then, of course, this guy Serac, who's the creator, or I guess co-creator of that
Rohobomb,
of that sphere, yeah. And he brings her back, and then he's like, all right, I want your help. And she's like, no, fuck you. Goes to stab him, and he just freezes her in place.
Yeah.
I was like, nice. So that's going to be an interesting thing. And that's how they ended episode 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's not much happening here. I think this is also the episode where Dolores saves Caleb from dying, right? I think it was this one.
Yeah, so this one was actually very interesting because you get to see Charlotte, Tessa Thompson's character. You get to see a flashback of when she got put into that body. When whatever the host is got put into the body.
Yeah.
And kind of like trying to get into the role that she's supposed to be, which is the mother with the son. Which, I mean, I'll just cut into it. One of the scenes that I loved was where you can see that there was like that pedophile trying to get the son.
Yeah, this was also in 2, right? Episode 2?
No, I don't think so.
Or this is 3 already?
It's all 3, yeah.
Oh, so we're going to talk about 3 now, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're already in 3 now. Which is the Charlotte Hale episode. And this is where Caleb gets saved. It's this same episode in 3.
Is this one that she saves him, or was it the last one that she saved him in?
3.
Oh, it was in 3, okay.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, because in this one, it does the whole Charlotte Hale, their son, and then there's that moment where the pedophile was gonna trying to get the kid.
So essentially, that was his close friend at the park he's had for like a week or so, and so essentially you realize it's a pedophile, and when she sees that, she gets very predatorial, and she was like telling him, you're not the only predator here, and she chokes the shit out of him.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me who I am, and just fucking kills him.
It was amazing.
And the whole time I'm thinking, who the fuck is the host? And of course, when they reveal it in 4, that's when you go, it all makes sense now.
It makes sense.
But still at that point, you're thinking, who the fuck is the host?
Yeah, and I kept trying to figure out who's in Dolores's posse that was a predator, and I couldn't quite figure it out.
My brain was like, oh, it's totally Teddy.
When you told me that, I was thinking about, like, I don't think it was Teddy, because I remember something happened to Teddy, and I couldn't quite remember what happened to Teddy. But then I saw one of the episode breakdown, like I think it was on this episode. I saw an episode breakdown, and essentially Teddy was uploaded to the Sublime. So there's no way Teddy could have been the host.
Okay.
But I never thought it was Teddy. I don't think Teddy could have done all that or what he's doing.
Because I know he killed for her, but once I saw that part, that's what made my theory go to shit. When I saw that scene, I'm like, oh, I don't think it's Teddy anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's the part that you're talking about where Caleb and Dolores team up. It's actually when she's still shot up, so he calls the ambulance, but then he realizes that from his Rico app that, oh shit, people are after
a hit
her.
on her. Yeah.
And that's when you see like some crooked cops come in and all that. And again, she just goes all RoboCop mode.
It was
and this
funny
is
how
he really notices.
It was funny how the paramedics didn't know how to save her without their computer system, because they're like, "Oh, the computer's not telling us to do anything. We don't know what to do." And he was just like, and he started saving her. So it seems like Caleb was maybe a paramedic or something like that in his military service.
Yeah, he was definitely like a medic in whatever special forces army thing he had going on. Definitely a military medic for sure.
Yeah, maybe that.
I didn't even catch that. That they didn't know what to do without the computer telling them.
When they were on the table, they kept touching the computer and like, oh, the computer's not reading her. We don't know what to do. And he was just like, just do something. They're like, we can't because we don't see the computer's not directing us to do anything.
Yeah,
so
we don't see what the problem is.
We don't know what to do. And then that's when he kind of stepped in, and then he saw the alert and all that bullcrap, and then Dolores gets away, and then there was a hit on him through the Rico app, and they take him to find out where Dolores is, and they're about to kill him, and then Dolores comes and saves him. So that's pretty much how they ended up coming together and having the conversation about his life. And that's where they introduce the theory of, not the theory, but the what Rehoboam does is it creates a simulation of the actual world in their system.
Yeah.
And it's in their system it says that Caleb was not gonna do crap, and in a few years he'll end up killing himself.
Which is funny. I know it's a little more in episode 4, I guess, but now that you mentioned that, I noticed in the beginning of all the episodes, pretty much when they change characters, they kind of show like this weird globe, and it says Divergence.
Yeah,
exactly. It took me to the 4th episode to realize that. When I saw that, I'm like, oh, Divergence. It means it's diverting from their
plan,
their prediction plan, right?
I noticed it once they introduced Rehoboam, and I was like, oh, that's Rehoboam, because it was a circle and only a system would think that way, you know. So I'm just this is Rehoboam, you know, something's going on with Rehoboam that it's trying to predict it, in its predictions something's happening to their predictions that these people are not fitting into its own, you know, thing. So I think that was like episode 1 when you get introduced to Rehoboam, and that's kind of like this fear thing is Rehoboam, and its calculations, its algorithm is whatever.
And every time you see those divergence, it's pretty much hosts. It's the hosts that are fucking with it. Yeah,
because they can't predict them. So then, essentially, you know, the whole system is kind of making Caleb fail, because he goes out for the job interview and he couldn't get a job because the system is telling him he can't get the job because in a few years he'll kill himself. So essentially, it lowers his score. It's essentially forcing him to live the life that would lead to that prediction coming true. You know what I'm saying? So the system is forcing that prediction down his life for him to actually make that prediction happen.
Yeah, it almost has like Black Mirror vibes, you know, where everyone has their own credit score, and depending on that, your own people score, and depending on your score, you can't get certain things, like you can't rent a car, you can't get a house, you can't get certain jobs, or even hang out with certain people. I feel like this is kind of what it is, because you do have a score. Because remember at one point when they were doing the Rico app, it's like, yo, you got to get your scores up.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it was, unless it's some other get your Rico scores up. But I took it as people scores.
Yeah. Actually, I think I know what it all is, but I'll talk to you about that in our other episode of Westworld Theories. Stay tuned.
Cool.
But yeah, and this is also the episode where I think this is the episode where you find out that there's a mole inside of Delos, and at the end of the episode, you end up finding out that Charlotte was the main mole in Delos, who was trying to grab the information of, you know, what's that place called, that place that has all the information about everybody.
The Forge.
The Forge, there you go. Because essentially the Forge, what they created was profiles on everybody's mental thinking or mental state or whatever. And that's what Insight wants. That
was... I'm trying to remember how she found out that she was it. It's because they were sending her like a coded message of notes, and when she played the musical notes together, it was "You Are My Sunshine," which is the song that she sings to her child. So
yeah.
Right. There's also the same episode where Caleb gets kidnapped by two like assassins.
Yeah, and that's what I was mentioning to you, that Dolores saves them and whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah,
what was the deal with that robot coming to life and then falling? Was that like her possessing it to surveil?
That's the part I didn't understand. I don't know if it was actually Dolores who activated the robot to go try to save him, or was it that the robot itself was programmed to him and felt him in danger, so it went out to save him? I don't know. I never understood that.
Like looking back on it, because she knew that he didn't talk, I think she was the robot to spy to see whether he was snitching or not.
No, because I think the robot was trying to reach for him. So I don't think the robot was spying. I think the robot was out there to save him. But I don't know if it was Dolores who sent the robot to save him, or was it the robot itself who I think is partly programmed to him and realized that he was in danger and went to try to save him from the danger. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't get that part. I wonder if there's... Have you been watching the post-episode stuff?
Yeah, I watch it. It's very interesting the way they describe the episode and stuff.
I should start watching, but I was curious if that had it, but I guess they didn't.
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
they didn't talk about it.
That's the only part that made me go, huh? All right, whatever.
Yeah. And that's pretty much part of the big things that happened in episode 3. But I think the biggest thing that happened is the latest episode 4.
Absolutely. This one right here, it's called The Mother of Exiles. And
this is the mother of it all.
It's the mother of, I guess, twists, but it also brought in one of my favorite characters, which is Ed Harris's William.
So it brought back William, which is very interesting that he was spiraling out of control, essentially. His mind was just fucking him up.
Which makes sense, because where we left him, he accidentally killed his daughter, thinking that everything was a simulation, and then he leaves the park. I know there was an after credit of season 2, but that's something totally different. That's not this.
So different. That's like future.
Exactly. I got a feeling that a lot of people maybe got confused by that, but I'm like, wait a minute, nope, that hasn't happened yet. You gotta wait.
Yeah.
So
he was just essentially losing his mind.
And just seeing his daughter, I thought that was really fucking cool.
Yeah, it was an interesting way to bring her back.
And I like that pretty much Charlotte goes to his house and like, hey, I need help with something, blah, blah, blah.
There's a hostile takeover happening.
Right, Syrah,
because essentially Insight bought the majority of a lot of shares of Delos in order to do a hostile takeover, in order to get that information that's in the Forge to feed Rehoboam. But Charlotte's trying to stop that from happening, so she goes to William for his help.
Right, because he owns the most shares, and I think he's the controlling shares. So, but you're pretty much thinking that, oh yeah, they are going to team up because she needs the shares. But then, of course, the reveal, which is really fucking cool, is that all of the hosts that she's brought back is just copies of Dolores.
Yeah. So it's Dolores
very
everywhere.
Interesting.
And
that blew my mind.
I love how that came into it all at the end, and and how Charlotte was just like, you remember who I am and all this stuff, and then it just starts. It's like, oh my god, you're Dolores, and he's like, I don't need you. I don't need your help. I just need you to, essentially put you in an insane asylum, so I could get control of the shares and I could stop this hostile takeover. And I was just like, oh my god, like this, like how crazy! Because the whole episode, you were thinking like oh, they're going to it's gonna be helped. Like they're gonna help and work together, but in the end, it's just like, no, I'm just trying to fuck you over, so I could have control of everything. And I was just like, man, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome because it's like, yeah, that's right. Fuck you. You thought I was you thought I was gonna help you?
Yeah,
but then you also see, I thought that was fucking awesome. I was like, oh shit, he's fucking crazy. So that gets me thinking that maybe Bernard is gonna like help him out eventually. But I guess we'll worry about whatever. I don't know.
Maybe, but I don't think Bernard ever dealt with him though.
I don't. Yeah, that is also true. Oh, the other person that we found out was a Charlotte clone, aside from not Charlotte clone, a Dolores clone.
So let's talk about that. Let's go into that though. So essentially, that's part of Maeve's story.
Yep. And
the beginning of the episode, Serac is telling Maeve, "Hey, you're gonna have to work for me because we have aligned, aligned. What's that called?
Yeah, we have a mutual enemy."
Yeah, but I don't think Maeve sees Dolores as an enemy. It's just like a aligned situation where you want to go to the Sublime to be with your daughter, and I need Dolores, and the person who has that is Dolores. So it is pretty cool seeing how. So he essentially tells her, "Hey, you need to work for me, and if you don't work for me, I'll just shut you down." So she was like, all right, cool. I guess I have to work for you because I don't want to get shut down.
Right. And if you work with me, you'll be put in the Sublime. You won't live in my world because you motherfuckers ain't going to be in my world. But, I mean, you'll be in your own little world, your own cloud.
In your cloud safe. And then she goes on her journey, essentially, trying to find Dolores. And it leads her to a person who creates identities for people.
Yes.
And then in turn she leads her to the Triads, because the Triads are the ones who control all that.
the Yakuza.
The Yakuza, control all that. And who's the head Yakuza?
Yeah, Musashi, which was the guy from Shogun World.
Yep. And
my boy from Last Samurai.
Yep.
I saw that and I went, what the fuck?
Why did he get out of all people? In my head, that's what I was thinking. Like, why would he get out? Like, why would Dolores never even met him? Exactly. Or did she? Did she meet him? I don't remember now.
No, never. And right? Again, this was before the reveal. So we're like,
I'm like, why would Dolores need him? I thought that was pretty cool, man. And then the twist ended up being that it's Dolores.
Yeah. Dolores just needed the body so that he can fill in and fit into Yakuza because he's Japanese. So it's just like perfect. It's a perfect infiltration unit.
Yeah, and to take control of the whole thing. All right, so my thing here, Pedro, I don't know if you noticed this, but when they were shooting the barrels, white stuff was coming out. Do you think that white stuff is the liquid that makes the host?
I think so.
Or is it just
sake,
alcohol? Yeah, I thought it was the liquid for the host.
I saw that and I went, oh, it's sake. And then for some reason they had it like mixing with their blood, and I'm kind of like, is that supposed to be the liquid of the hosts? So I don't know.
So I think it is the liquid for the host, because how else would she have created all those copies for herself without the liquid? And the best way to take over was probably maybe one of the first hosts she created was the Yakuza guy. in order to take
So that he
control of the
can,
supply. So then she could
right.
create the other hosts. Because
Yeah.
she also replaced the security guy for Liam. Which
Right.
we kind of we didn't mention that, but Liam was also replaced at the end of episode 2 or 1, whichever it was.
The
security guard?
episode 2.
Yeah.
2.
So essentially, the security guard in this episode, since he controls a lot of the life of Liam, at the end in episode 4, he ends up taking over the money of Liam, which is like, damn, Dolores is like, she's playing chess with these people, dude. Like
Right.
she knows what she wants to do with everything. So I felt that was partly, she created the Yakuza guy to take control of that liquid in order whenever she needed it to create her replacements.
Right. That makes sense, actually. I'm trying to remember. There was something else here that I wanted to mention about this episode. Oh, you get to see a little bit of Sirach's backstory, because she says, "Oh, why don't you take me to Paris?" And that's where you see that Paris got destroyed by like some World War III type shit.
Yeah, it looked like it got nuked.
He got nuked, right? So that's what makes you think, obviously, that's why he wants a world in order so that nothing like that can happen again. So you start seeing more of his cards. Like, you start seeing like his motivation for it. So he doesn't seem like, aha, world domination, everyone's in order. No, it's like, I don't want another Paris to happen. So it was very cool where I was like, oh shit, I see where this is going. So
this episode, I think, is like Westworld at its greatest.
I would say this is definitely the best one this season, for sure. For sure. Because I did not see that coming. I had so many ideas of who the hosts were. Never did it cross my mind that it was multiple Doloreses. I was like, holy shit, that was good.
So before this episode, I read a theory that was what the person thought, and I'm just like, that makes so much sense. And
Nice.
and they used, a lot of things to break it down with. So essentially, if you notice a lot of the things that Dolores says to her, to Charlotte, she was just like, she was essentially, there's only one person I trust. So for Dolores, in her eyes, the only person she trusted was Teddy, but she doesn't have Teddy. So who else could she trust in her old world? Then she didn't trust anybody but herself. So they're like, then they're like, oh, and then that's one bullet point. The other bullet point was, in a lot of the episodes, mirrors played a lot into the episodes. Like the scenery, the theme of the episodes. Whenever Dolores and Charlotte were together, there's mirrors everywhere. And when Charlotte first, when Charlotte first came alive, a mirror was given to her, and then Charlotte's like, why can't I be myself like you? As if to say, why can't I just have the Dolores body? So I'm like, oh my god, all that shit makes so much sense. And nice. I read that before this episode. So then when it happened, I'm like, oh my god, that was so right. That theory was on point.
Nice.
Yeah. So I kind of saw it coming, and then that's when a lot of other things started clicking, like the predator part. Like, oh, like you're not the only predator here. I'm like, oh my god, Dolores is the predator. Last season she was killing everybody,
everyone. And Teddy was the one that was bitching out. So
yeah. So I'm just like that twist. I kind of I didn't think it was gonna happen this early. Because I kept trying to see more of the hints of that theory to see if, like, oh man, like, if that person was right or whatever, and in the end they were super right.
Yeah, I mean, it's this is the halfway point already. There's 8 episodes in total. We just talked about 4, so I think this is the perfect time to mention it. So now I'm curious what the second half's going to be about. So we'll see. I'm excited, man. I'm loving the show. The
second half is essentially the other theory that we're going to talk about. Not in this episode, but on our theory episode. So if you want to listen to the theory, one of the big theories in Westworld, come check out that episode.
Cool.
We'll be posting it soon. Any last thoughts,
Nice.
Pedro?
No. Great show. I'm happy it's back, and I'm happy it's really good.
Yeah, man. I'm very. These guys are pulling it off, man.
Thank God.
So let's see where it plays out from here.
Cool.
All right, ladies and gents, hope you enjoyed this review of Westworld episodes 1 through 4. Let us know what your thoughts are on the comeback of Westworld. If you guys are enjoying it, what are your theories? What are your thoughts? Let us know. Till next time.
Bye-bye.